This is Robert Martellacci, the MindShare Learning Report, Canada's leading learning and technology e-magazine. I have the good fortune of interviewing Dr. Susanne Lajoie of McGill University for our Cross-Canada Spotlight on Quebec. Dr. Lajoie received her doctorate from Stanford University. She is a James McGill Research Professor and Chair of the Department of Educational Counseling, Psychology at McGill University. Thank you for joining me this morning, Dr. Lajoie.
Thank you, Robert. It's very nice to be part of your interview. Just to let you know, though, my bio must be a little old, and I apologize for that. I'm no longer the chair of the department. It would be difficult to chair the department and take on this wonderful new grant that I have. And I'm also Canadian Research Chair now, Tier 1 in Advanced Technologies and Authentic Learning Settings.
Well, congratulations, and thank you for that correction. And
thank you.
Congratulations on the recent McGill news that you'll be directing the LEADS project to a tune of almost $2.5 million in collaboration with international experts. I understand the focus is to explore how to best use visual technology to enhance learning across disciplines and age groups from K-12 to post-secondary. Perhaps you can share a little bit about how this came into fruition.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, I'm very excited about this grant. It's something that I've been working on towards to get this partnership together. It is really involving 19 universities, 6 different countries, and I think 6 different disciplines. And the reason why it's an interdisciplinary research study is that I really think it's important to involve psychologists, educators, computer scientists, and domain experts in the creation of new technologies to help students learn. And so the partners that we have involved as well are stakeholders in the grant. And I've always been interested in how theories can guide the design of technology-rich environments. And so basically this partnership gives me a way to test some of the important theories of learning and within a technology-rich learning environment to see how kids learn and adults learn.
Interesting. That's a great segue for my next question, Dr. Lajoie. You bring a unique perspective to learning technology with a grounding in psychology. What inspired you to go down this path in the learning technology space?
Mm-hmm. Well, I started, my early research was really interested in intelligence and individual differences in how we learn and the types of abilities each of us have. We each have different aptitude profiles and different strengths and weaknesses. So some people may be highly verbal, some people may be highly spatial, and we learn differently. We may learn more from pictures, through words, through text. And so when I was at Stanford, it was to age myself. It was when the first PCs came out, and I said, wow, technology would be a great way to individualize instruction and to really create environments that could be crafted for individuals with different strengths and weaknesses and perhaps compensate for, technology can help those that don't have the strategies by demonstrating information in new ways that will help support their development of learning.
Fascinating. Why is it the K-12 education system is failing to engage the majority of students in a meaningful way?
Well, I really think that we have so much at our disposal now in terms of kids are digital, like they know more about computers than adults do. They are so engaged with the social networking, the mobile phones, the communities that social networks involve, the virtual games that people can play, and they have all of the sort of the benefits of technology outside of the classroom where they can create things and share things. But inside the classroom, they're sort of told to turn off their laptops and engage in whatever it is that they're engaging in class now. Now, I think that if teachers are able to harness some of the positive sides of technology in the classroom, you can re-engage individuals. And so I'm not saying just throw an iPad or throw a computer in a classroom. That's not at all what I'm saying. But you can engage students in a meaningful way if you have a plan for how to use the technology that's really theory-driven. And what we're interested in doing is seeing both how it supports cognition, the cognitive skills of problem solving and communication and things like that, but also how it engages emotion. And so that's, I think, what's unique about our partnership is looking at how people learn, but also looking at the emotions behind learning. So when did they get bored? When did they get frustrated? When did they get angry? And as we're assessing this in the context of the technology-rich learning environment, that's food for us to change the environment to make it less stressful for individuals, more engaging and more interesting. And that's the goal of this partnership.
Fantastic. I'm a proponent of technology-infused pedagogy. It's not so much about the technology, and it's more about the process.
Right. Yes. So what are some of the processes that we're interested in? We're interested in supporting people as they're using technology, if they're learning math or if they're learning biology, whatever context that they're learning, using the technology. We're trying to see what is it that they're attending to in the environment. So what information do kids see as important? What are they monitoring their learning in any way? Are they able to regulate their learning? Where do they get stuck? Where do they need help? And how can we provide the assistance or the scaffolding in the context of those learning environments? So by having, we're using really multiple measures of what we call data mining, of computer data mining, what the log files are demonstrating of how kids are learning, how much time they take in a certain part of the environment, in addition to, as I said, the physiological data, how they look as they're looking at the environment. Are they like, oh my God, I don't know what to do next, or angry and frustrated as they're in the environment? So we're merging these complex types of data and really building a picture of how people learn and what they're reflecting on, where they get stuck, and whether the help that we're giving them in the context of the environment is helping them get over the hurdle. So processing is really the key.
Fascinating. Now, one of the thoughts that came to mind as you were describing your perspective there around the pedagogy and technology as a process, what about the skills gap that appears to exist amongst teachers? There was a recent TBO town hall in Peterborough at Trent University where Dr. Fullen talked about perhaps 25% of teachers being somewhat comfortable using technology in the classroom. How is this overcome as part of the research, looking at this area?
Well, it is something that we want to address, and one of the things that we're trying to do is build a very interactive website that will reflect what we're doing in Leeds. And one of my students is very interested in presenting a blog that will highlight and showcase the research findings from our work and engage teachers to see what it is that they would like to know in order to improve their performance with technology. And eventually, maybe we could showcase some of the things that would help them on the website, but also invite them to some of the annual meetings that we have in Montreal every other year and have perhaps workshops for these people. These are things that we would be very interested in finding out. We're interested in finding out what they need, and we're also interested in seeing how we can help them. And so this is one of our goals.
Thank you for that. We constantly hear from provincial bureaucrats across the provinces that there's no proof that technology is making an impact on learning. Mm-hmm. Comments are made, well, we see computers off, smart boards in boxes. What would you say to these folks?
Right. Well, technology is just a tool, as I said. I mean, we used to think of pencils and chalk as tools.
It is technology, too.
Right. And so if you just say, well, technology isn't supporting learning, it's the same thing. What exactly are you talking about when you say technology isn't supporting learning? It's the use of technology. And that's why I keep saying what we're doing is using cognitive theories to create learning environments. We're not just putting a computer in a class and saying, oh, this is going to help you learn. So what are the theories behind the use of the technology? And you have to compare apples with apples, not apples and oranges. So, one person's use of a smart board may be to turn the smart board on and to have people share information, but for what purpose? Other intelligent ways of using smart boards might be actually to create a community of learners that are actually trying to solve a problem together documenting the arguments that they're coming up with in the context of problem solving, and supporting evidence as they do that. So you can see how the community is evolving in the arguments and the communication skills that they're demonstrating, and whether the smart board actually is supporting learning of topics earlier on than they would in a classroom that has 30 chairs and people not working together. So what is it? The use of technology can be anything from simulation, virtual reality, mobile technology. So again, what are you talking about when you say technology has been shown to support learning or not support learning? It's really, you have to look at the grain size of the question and what variables you're comparing.
Absolutely. Now, your study is one of the largest funded that I'm aware of in Canada with respect to your area of research. Is $2.5 million enough?
Well, I'm very grateful for the $2.5 million, I must say, and it is the biggest SSHRC-funded project, one of the largest grants that SSHRC has provided. So if I were to ask my American friends if $2.5 million was enough, they would definitely say no. The reason why they would say no, and personally, my own issues in looking at the resources that we have, is that there are 19 universities. If you divide 2.5 by 19 universities by 8 years, you don't really have a big funding package for each individual involved. So it's really not about how much money goes to any one individual that's supported by the grant. So we really have to look at ways of working as a community on big questions, trying to get at least a little money to leverage how we can and get these ideas flowing and get the research done that will make an impact.
Absolutely. Now, you noted that the time horizon is 8 years. Do you care to project what schools might look like in 2020?
Well, I'm not. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do think that by that time we're going to have much easier access to technology, or less expensive access to technology than we have in the past. Like over the years, I've just seen the price of computers go down and down and down. iPads are, I think will be in every class. And I think that, the use of mobile technologies is going to grow. I think the use of global networking with international communities is going to grow. And so a traditional classroom may, have very different types of experiences where, who knows, if you want to learn about the pyramids, you're not going to just be reading about it online. You might actually visit professors and teachers in Mexico who may want to take you for a global walk to the pyramids and tell us what they know about the pyramids. So you might have more interesting communities that evolve through the use of technologies in ways that we haven't thought of before.
So will we see telepresence and more online learning, I presume?
I think we'll have blended learning. I definitely think there'll be telepresence. I think we'll be using experts more at a distance. And I think that's what's going to be fun, if we can distribute the expertise worldwide, so that when we really want an expert to explain, how the cardiovascular system works, you can have that person as part of your class. I do think that there will be more and different ways of using technology.
Well, we have a great example in that in a Canadian astronaut who's manning the space station at the moment. It's been incredible how he's immersed himself in Twitter and social media and is connecting with schools across the country. In fact, we have a story in our April edition of the MindShare Learning Report that speaks to that. And
fantastic.
Yeah. Now, with regard to mobile learning, there's been predictions that I've heard of late that within the next 5 years, not 8, that every child will have access to a learning device. And, there's a proliferation of tablets beyond just Apple and Intel-based tablets that are more robust and open. Are you in line with that prediction of within the next 5 years?
I do.
Given the price points dropping?
I do think that will be the case. And again, what I'm more interested in is what the technology affords. So if one of my colleagues from England talked about everybody should have their own pedagogical agent that's like their phone in their pocket that helps them. And he predicted that 10 years ago. And what we're finding is that people are creating their own pedagogical agents. So if you want to know whether you've walked enough today, you've got your Fitbit that's telling you,
Right.
oh, well, you've only done 2,000 steps, you better get moving. So how will technology support you in your everyday life, and how will it support you in the learning goals that you have? And so when we think of the pedagogical agents that may live on your laptop that help you learn, that's where I think we're going. I really think that we're going to have more coaching from the technologies that serve as a partnership between the kinds of learning environments we create and helping individuals get to where they want to be.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Lajoie. Any final thoughts to share about leadership and learning technology in the 21st century?
Well, I think that we really have to think about the skills that we want students to learn for the 21st century. It's not the same world as it was 15 years ago. Kids really need to be adaptive. They don't stay in the same job all their lives like our parents did. I mean, they are, if they get bored in their job, they want to move and they need to adapt. And so what are the learning skills that we can give them that will help them learn new skills in a new environment? So teamwork is important. Communication is important. Problem solving is important. All of these things that are somewhat implicit in the things that we learn in school, we need to make explicit so that kids will be able to succeed when they leave school. Because, when I employ somebody, I'm not interested in how many A's they get. I want to know whether they can work as a team, whether they can articulate their knowledge, whether they can be proactive and find the knowledge that they need in order to solve problems. These are skills that I want my students to have, and I'm sure many people are looking for the same skills in the real world.
With that, I thank you for your time this morning, Dr. Lajoie.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
That was Dr. Susanne Lajoie of McGill University. My name is Robert Martelacci, the MindShare Learning Report, and until next time, keep the learning curve steep.